Hi, good evening. We appreciate you joining us for this great evening. I am your host today, dear audience. I am Divina Garcia, Science Teacher 2 here in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to be a global member of IGP, and being a host is a privilege and I feel appreciated. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to our institution's free international webinar. I appreciate each and every one of you joining us on this beautiful evening, and I would want for you to stay with us until the very end. And I am certain that this webinar will offer you with many benefits, and we value the likes and comments you provide on our webinar. In the comment section, don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends. So let's observe and learn as a group. We think that knowledge should be shared, not hoarded, in order to achieve power. Once again, I am Divina Garcia, a Filipino IGP member, and this is the fourth time I'm hosting an event such as this here at IGP, and I am thrilled to be doing it again. We welcome new participants every day, so I will briefly discuss or describe IGP here. Allow me to go into detail regarding IGP. Social work is a service offered by the Institute of Global Professionals. We think that only obtaining a formal education won't effectively boost one's knowledge and skills. As a result, we deliver quality training and advice to create knowledgeable generations everywhere. Our goal is to improve talent and empower people. Thousands of webinars have already been successfully completed by us, and we hope you'll join us as we continue to expand. Today, Ms. Irena Biba will be our guest speaker for the webinar 1233 or webinar number 1233 on teaching sustainability for action. Without further ado, let's begin with the IGP's mantra, feed your skill. But before that, let me introduce briefly our speaker for tonight. Miss, okay, hi ma'am. So let me just introduce you for a while. Miss Irena Biba is a master teacher, grade excellent and mentor. She's also a scientific editor in Agency of Quality of Education, an international trainer in Edmodo, master teacher in Microsoft, a coordinator in at Winning Europe, and a global mentor in Minecraft. So can we please give a warm welcome to our guest speaker for tonight? You can extend the welcome through liking or hearting our live stream today. Hi, ma'am. Welcome to our webinar.
Hello to everyone. Good morning, good evening in all over the world. It's always a great pleasure being here as a speaker in IGP. Today, I'm going to share my thoughts with you, to share my material about teaching sustainability for action. In our school, we are working hard on that, making beautiful and various projects, especially with SDG 5, 6, 13, etc. What about SDG 5? For centuries, gender inequality has emerged as a serious problem in societies. Looking at the root of this problem, we see that women are victims. A number of studies has been carried out both nationally and locally on gender equality, which is the five goal of the United States United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And with these efforts, women have started enjoying their legal rights in many areas, such as their political, social, economic, and education, have become stronger in choosing and making decisions. and losses due to preventable reasons have been prevented, and these efforts has gained momentum. As you know, the COVID-19 virus emerged as a global crisis and affected people in terms of health, education, and economy. In order to protect from the virus, being isolated at home and separated from social life, economic losses, and most importantly, the rapid contagion of the disease and the anxiety of death, panic, and fear have made the situation unbearable and made a new way of life inevitable for many years. Girls and women have been the most affected and victimized by the changes in the social structure. By including this issue in our projects and by including women and victim men in our community in education, we wanted to contribute to the resolution of the crisis experienced in the society and to be a part of the solution to eliminate the inequalities depended by the epidemic. One of the aims of our project is today and was in the past to raise collaborative individuals who have the skills to solve the problems experienced due to gender roles in the society. We have increased knowledge and awarenesses of the basic issues and current problems related to gender in the axis of the principle of equality and the prohibition of the discrimination who live social life in an egalitarian form who contribute to social peace. What about methods and techniques? In the second phase of our project, mentor teachers will be working with their own students groups. How? By applying flipped learning in project and game-based teaching methods. Jigsaw and drama techniques activities will be carried out to improve students' social, emotional, analytical thinking and creativity skills. With project-based teaching methods, with an interdisciplinary collaboration, it is planned to discuss the issues of gender equality and women in our community and present it to students as a scenario so that they gain skills with a pragmatist approach. With flipped learning also, it is aimed to give priority to putting students in the focus of the subject by taking their cognitive loads and contributing to their critical thinking skills is very important, no? Another, with game-based teaching method, we are going to contribute to students' critical and problem-solving skills by using games in the educational environment. With jigsaw technique, all groups will learn the subject and be divided into groups, and then students from different groups will form specialization groups and they will teach to one another. With the drama technique, developing students' abilities such as role playing, self confidence, self expression skills, creativity, and empathy is aimed also as well. In order to conduct an interactive study with students, videos and articles about gender inequality and the effects of the pandemic on the woman will be given before the training, and the students will start to design their materials by doing the necessary research on the subject. Subject contents will be discussed under the topics opening on the forum and collaborative activities will be planned in line with the data and requests obtained from the students. And students will also share and exchange views on collaborative work in the forum. The topics discussed in the forum will be compiled and evaluated by teachers as well. A collaborative study will be planned in line with students' opinions, and students will choose the materials they want to design in the chat room. Students will be assisted by teachers with the Web 2.0 tools to be used in their studies. However, the students' requests to use different Web 2.0 tools will also be taken into account. Order. The steps and studies related to our project will be given in a certain planning and order in order for students to reach easily on the TwinSpace portal. All the work done will be documented and uploaded to the Padlet by the students. Padlet will also be uploaded to the TwinSpace platform afterward. Padlet is a tool, a beautiful tool. What about the other materials, especially drama? Drama about being woman, especially in pandemic, in nowadays also. There will be due diligence and solution-oriented content about women's home situations, women's work at home, depressed women, etc. Drama about gender equality. There will be solution-oriented content on topics such as language, fairy tales, sports, academia, and domestic responsibility. It is required to use costumes, students' username, school's name, and a twinning logo must be used, and drama must be short and inclusive. A letter. A friend of yours living in India, for example, has been cyberbullied and it is asking for your help. You are going to write a letter to your friend. What solutions would you offer in your letter? You have a friend living in Egypt, for example, and their homework is to ask a pen friend abroad to write a letter about how can the problem of violence against women be solved in Egypt. What would you write in your letter? A friend of yours living in Tuvalu mentioned that migration has started in the country due to climate changes and that women are affected by this situation. What kind of a letter would you write about kind of work can be done and what kind of policies can be created to prevent women from being affected by climate changes? Imagine you are a student living, for example, in Rwanda in Africa. A friend of yours from Yemen writes you a letter. Your friend asks you to write a letter about how your country supports women in politics and decision making and the policies implemented at the national and local level and the work done. What information would you include in your letter? Another way is a brochure. How can inequalities in health, education, at home, at school, at work, in sports, in academia, in politics, in language, in fairy tales be resolved? In the studies, it is necessary to analyze the fairy tales and making corrections. The mistakes made in the language should also be studied in the same way. Students' username, school's name, and a twinning logo must be used also here. And what about awareness videos? This activity will be held by teachers together with their students. Participation in awareness video is not mandatory. Details will be discussed with teachers and students, and action will be taken in line with the decisions taken. Who's Who game? Content will be created by considering the life stories of 10 successful women selected in mixed teams. It will take place in the game night event. Workshop and game night with this week workshop will take place within the framework of the jigsaw technique, and there will be discussions on how to resolve inequalities in health, education, home, school, work, sports, academia, politics, language, and fairy tales. A game event will be held at the end of the workshop. What about common product? A newspaper. Each mentor will communicate with their team and decide on the name of the newspaper and write the name they have chosen in the chat room. The name of the newspaper will be determined through a survey. A newspaper will be published summarizing the activities of December by making use of brochure studies on how to resolve inequalities in health, education, home, school, etc. All partners must complete this activity. They can choose as many activities as they want from other studies, and students might take into consideration some female figures like Juliet, Lady Macbeth, and Ophelia. They may analyze their role in the place, in the society, and the time, and ask the students to make a comparison with the role of women nowadays. What about dissemination of our project? Our project will be carried out in dissemination activities on dissemination platforms such as community service, newspaper, news, and social media also as well. They are my students working in this project, and this is a letter written by me. This is a poster made for my student. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. Women have been fighting for centuries to be emancipated from all forms of oppression. Gender inequality affects us all. It is a human fight. We all should contribute in treating women equally so as to have a move advanced society. Another poster: say no to stereotypes, say yes to equality. Gender equality is a human fight, not a female fight. Learning for sustainability beyond recycling and polar bears. You might be looking at the title of my material thinking, but isn't recycling important? I was told that recycle is important. And aren't polar bears vulnerable due to the melting sea ice? We should raise awarenesses of these things. These statements are all true. Recycling is important. Polar bears are vulnerable. We should raise awarenesses of these things. But we should not stop there. Research and educational literature have come to the same conclusion. Awareness raising and experiences in nature are not enough to teach sustainability. Pupils should not just by learning about and in the environment. They should also be learning from sustainability. This means examining how the environment interacts with the social, economic, and cultural sphere as well. The whole school approach to sustainability has been around for decades, but it has gained steam lately because it merged with this kind of holistic thinking. The United Nations and the European Commission have both stressed its potential. This material will give you a better understanding of this approach and help you to put into practice. For every complicated issues, there's a simple solution, and it's the wrong one. We are not going to solve the climate emergency with silver bullets. It's not the environment on one side, poverty on the other side, patriarchy on another. Everything is connected, and we really need to see this as a systematic change and address every aspect of the system. There are many entry paths to this approach. It doesn't have to proceed from the top down. In fact, one of the most influential examples of whole school sustainability got kick-started by a Japanese physical education teacher who had been carrying out conservation activities in local rivers, activity camps on remote islands, and fire farming. Eventually, these unfocused activities gave rise to a special subject: new relationship with the local community, a permanent section in the town's magazine, and more. Why a whole school approach? Our school has an open enrollment policy. We have taken to place in a particular focus on emphasis on sustainability, biodiversity, climate change, and this was brought about because of the students looking at the adults in the room for a change. And there are new issues arising in schools, such as eco anxiety, eco depression, and the whole sense of hopelessness that's described in the media around the doomsday scenario, around climate change, and so on. So we took the view that if students could learn the measures and strategies that would be necessary for responsible good global citizenship, well then as a school it behaves us to look at that. So we employed a sustainability chaplain to guide us and to ensure that the ethos of our school, the culture of our school, the activity going on in our school was consistent with what good global citizenship would promote and what climate change and sustainability and biodiversity and what ultimately needed our planet. It's difficult to look at the truth of reality. So there's always a tendency to back off from the difficult truths. And there's many ways in which you can make things more comfortable by reducing it to an individual action or something like that, or not doing the hard data. There's lots of different ways in which you can do it. But I think fundamentally, the home climate crisis and sustainability crisis just cuts against our psychology. We are not prepared for it. We are not designed as animals to deal with that. And the data is also quite abstract. Amounts of CO2 per million in the atmosphere is not the same as a punch in the face. So, once you have the gap between reality and yourself, there's all kinds of ways in which you can adjust your life to make things more comfortable. The crisis has not been dealt with for 20, 40 years. And if you look at the syllabus which we teach, especially geography syllabus, they don't handle it properly. And we don't have any systematic views of the crisis across any national education system, I would say. And so in secondary, I think what you'll find is that we don't even advance our students beyond what they do in primary. So that's things like recycling, plastic, that sort of low level response or analysis and response. European School Education Platform and eTwinning are initiatives of the European Union founded by Erasmus Plus and US program to support education, training, youth, and sports in Europe. So, how do we go beyond a surface level reading and sustainability? This is a struggle for a lot of teachers who do not feel equipped to teach such an involved topic. And it is a struggle for national curricula due to logistical, social, and political barriers. But this complexity and controversy are exactly the sort of qualities that can make learning stimulating for pupils. Not only that, they hone the system's thinking and critical inquiry that are so vital for the 21st century. In their voting behavior and professional life, pupils will need to make decisions about complex issues that have no simple answers, and they should already develop the necessary frameworks to deal with them in their school year. Learning for sustainability, teaching for complexity. I feel that in our school right now, the geography course that we take is basically the main way in which we learn about sustainability. That's where we get our education on how to better the climate and so on. And when we learn, it feels to me like we are being taught about what sustainability is. As in, we learn the theory, like The circular economy is a part of it, and sustainable development is built on three pillars of social, economic, and environmental. And we learn about what it is. We don't really learn, I feel, about how to achieve it or even why it's needed so much. Students manage complexity by the time that they're 17 or 18. They're dealing with complexity in all of their other subjects, in physics, in chemistry, in mathematics, subject philosophy, etc. Across the board, they're having to handle a lot of complexity. But when they do green things, it's never complex. It's always simplified. Or, like I said earlier, almost primary school level. So, students are hungry for that. So, of course, when you get older, you want to do things which are appropriate to your age level. You have to think systematically and holistically about everything because every single piece of the jigsaw in a sustainability crisis is connected with another piece of the jigsaw. So you have social, economic, political, biological, physical. It's all one very complex matrix. It has to transdisciplinary or interdisciplinary at least because that's when the complexity arises. If you're just looking in isolation at a flood, or you're looking in isolation at a heat wave, it's not complex. But when you put it inside a system, it is. The situation in our whole European education system and in all over the world is that we have more or less teachers who are really experts in one subject. We have what we can call a kind of silo European school education, platform education. We have teachers who are specialists and talk and teach subjects as specialists with students. So we are training students as specialists in different fields. But what is lacking, and it is exactly what complexity means, what is lacking is the space to build the link and the interaction between the different categories of knowledge. No, based on what you've learned so far, we can try to classify these activities. Consumption awarenesses. Pupils are taught about changes to their daily lives that can help to combat climate change, such as cycling to school, eating less meat, and recycling, and use a carbon footprint calculator to assess their own behavior. Building a vegetable garden. Pupils work in groups with designed roles like presenter and documenter to create blueprints for a school vegetable garden following a lesson on ecosystems. Equitable emission reduction. After an overview of the Paris Agreement and COP26, pupils work in groups to analyze the latest data on CO2 emissions in more and less developed countries, compare them with the necessary emission reductions, and write a blog about their findings. Be annual cleanup on a local beach. Pupils go to the nearest beach where they are given instruction on how to pick up litter. Local issue analysis. Pupils read newspapers articles and reports on local sustainability issues provided by the teacher. Then they write a brief from the point of view of a city government official, explaining which questions should be prioritized. Do they sound good for primary schools, secondary school, both or neither? Note that some activities that would be considered greenwashing in upper secondary school are fine for primary or lower secondary schools. Whole school approach to sustainability. One size does not fit all. We need to make connections. We need to make people understand that every single topic does not exist as a single topic, but is just part of a much more complex organization. When we have to build the menus for the canteen, obviously, the students will feel the necessity to discuss with the management of the canteen, with the management of the school, with the parent. And it will start a really complex but mandatory reflection about the budget. Obviously, about the possibility to find food in our local environment and what we'll do with the waste. Do we have a policy about reduction of waste, etc.? So I think really every single aspect to start a reflection is a good one. But I think it has to be gradated again. So things like food in the canteen or gardens, a little allotment, and things like that, those are things which the younger students can deal with because it's tactile. But as they grow up in the school, we should be advancing them into much wider thinking, wider action, taking them to organize events, putting them into the civic space. So it should grow with the student's age. So yes, whole school, but not whole school in a sort of flat horizontal way in which everybody does a bit of recycling because that's not enough. Working with public authorities. A key aspect of the whole school approach is putting personal responsibility into context. What do we mean by that? Probably the same thing that Climate Academy said. We can reflect on what the posters really mean. Students' advocacy for sustainability. Once students realize that climate change is actually a serious issue and isn't just like the weather getting a little bit worse, then I think you can start teaching them or showing them avenues to achieve sustainability. That there are things you can do, like you can advocate for cut percent. There are these paths you can take to try to push companies and states to enforce legislature to better the situation. And I also think it's important not to lose sight at the fact that these solutions that are calling for in the Climate Academy are impractical, radical, extreme solution. When we call for states to reinforce legislatures to cut down on greenhouse emissions, without this legislature, there will be nothing. Once the environment goes, the economic and the social factors will go along with that. So it's important, I think, for officials to listen to what the students actually want, to put them in the center of the whole education system. I mean, the point of school is to teach students. It is to prepare students for the future, right? So I think it is important to put them in the center stage, first and foremost, already at school, and listen to what they have to say. But you cannot just give them this information and leave them. So advocacy is a fundamental part of the pedagogy of teaching it. And that also leads to once you engage with giving talks or writing articles or when you're advocating about it, then you really learn about how the system works. Because you come up against social blocks, economic blocks, you have then to start calibrating what you're saying and thinking, and that's really when systemic understanding comes out, when you test it in the real world, etc. So I think advocacy not only in itself is important, but it's also important pedagogically. If you are looking for a starting point for pupil advocacy, the Climate Academy's current project, Right is on the Wall, is open for all schools in Europe. You just need to find a wall, paint your mural in the style of Norman Rockwell's The Right to Know, write the words, Save Our Future. and let your imagination and courage flow. The whole school can get involved by creating podcasts, videos, paintings, articles, or essays for a competition. Aside from pupil advocacy, the local authorities can also interact with schools in a smaller ways, for example, by assembling municipal workers or teams of volunteers to take care of the school's green corner when it is closed for weeks or months at a time, or by responding to pupils' letters reporting damage, asking for more recycling bins, and so on. Working with parents and local citizens. You don't have to look far to find potential partners in the local community. Parents are a natural ally and can add the whole school approach by organizing workshops, offering expertise, and participating in events and exhibitions, among other things. The same goes for the rest of your fellow citizenship. Retirees, university students, the city's gardening club, you won't know when you can lend a handle until you ask. It's not a one sided relationship either. The local community can benefit a lot from pupil skills and creativity. Take, for example, the case of Repair Cafe at Simulé in Belgium, which is run by pupils from a vocational education and training school. Local citizenship for sustainability. Are you aware of examples of local citizens and pupils collaborating for sustainability in your locality or country? Add to our list of examples and comments on examples that you consider interesting for use in your own context. Working with external organizations. Recycle is not just parents and neighbors that you can rely in the whole school approach. Many universities, companies, nonprofits, and other organizations have a vested interest in sustainability, and they are generally eager to interact with pupils who, who will engage with them on a different level in a few years' time, as employees, learners, volunteers, clients, voters, etc. You can also work with local charities on water quality issues. Ask environmental organizations to provide professional development courses on specific issues such as planting, donate crops from the school garden to a local shelter, invite neighboring schools to engage in peer learning for sustainability, collaborate with local or regional universities on teacher education, educational design research and action research, visit nearby farms to teach pupils about vegetables and animals with applied and embodied learning, or collaborate with them to supply the school canteen with fresh produce and have textile and fashion NGOs work with pupils on the topic of sustainable clothing production. The list goes on. As always, before you worry about the practicality and collaboration, it's worth contemplating what you want to get out of it. That is, whether and how it might help pupils to think about sustainability holistically. Do you already have connection with local universities, clubs, or nonprofits? If so, do you think any of those connections could help to support sustainability in your school? If not, can you think of any that you could reach out to? You can use tools like the Tales of Two Futures and Transition Network interactive maps to find some. Post your answer and react to your peers' responses if something catches your eyes. Teamwork across the school. You might remember what was said before. There are many entry paths to the whole school approach. You have already seen how teachers can harness pedagogy and school community relationships to engage their colleagues and fellow citizenships. The same can be done through school operation. It is generally a good idea to form an eco committee in the school and or appoint a sustainability coordinator. The eco committee can come up with sustainability projects, vote on priorities, set timelines, map available knowledge and skills, track needs and gaps, and so on. You should inform the school head before setting this in motion, but whole school sustainability can work even with a neutral school head, as long as the staff and pupils are committed. The first step to forming an eco committee can be as simple as sticking an innovation on the door of the teacher's lounge. There are other organization bodies that can support the eco committee, such as pupils, councils, or the eco delegates program in world. Pupils themselves are often members of the eco committee. Here are a few more types for effective school-wide teamwork. Working with colleagues who have expertise in the relevant subject, or choosing one teacher to follow training sessions on sustainability who will go on to train their colleagues. Having regular meetings for continuity, for example, on a monthly basis, making progress visible to keep energy levels and motivation high, organizing meetings with local community stakeholders as well as networking events. Schools as a living lab, waste reduction, food, water, and energy waste. How much waste does your school produce and how does it dispose for it? How much energy does it use and from which sources? What kind of food does it procure and who's the supplier? The answers can paint quite a sobering picture if you feed them into tools like ecological footprint calculator. The school's sustainability practices can model good behaviors for the pupils, but that's not all they can do. Investigative explorations focusing on sustainability issues also provide rich educational opportunities while shoring up the school community relationship. There are more ways in which you can utilize schools' practices to teach sustainability, like prominently displaying data on water usage, air quality, food consumption, and waste, which can be used in STEM classes and school-wide activities, organizing competitions or exhibitions to showcase and improve sustainability practices, either within the school or with neighboring schools, creating microeconomies to launch and maintain sustainability projects such as green spaces, etc. As far as sustainability practices go, green spaces are a category all on their own. Learning environments that inspire and motivate. Recycled schools, gardens, greenhouses, orchards, and other green learning environments are a mainstay on the whole school approach. However, being in nature will not automatically teach pupils sustainability. Just like every other lesson, outdoor learning should be coherent, age appropriate, and differentiated. A school garden can also be an engaging environment, particularly for primary and lower secondary school pupils. It is usually a low cost endeavor as it can be started using seeds donated by learners and doesn't require much more than a fence, soil, and gardening tools. Local farms or environmental NGOs can be consulting regarding which crops are best to plant each season. In addition, the fruit, herbs, and vegetables harvested from the garden can be used in the school canteen and in home economics lesson or sold at the municipal market to fund more sustainability activities, what is known as closing cycles. Now that you've combed through the various strands of a sustainability school, You can reflect on where and how your own school could improve. Sustainability projects in your school. Think back to the dealing with complexity. Sustainability question can get quite involved. To quote Professor Ariane Watts again, even for a seemingly plain objective like making the school canteen more sustainable, we would need to investigate questions of energy, fairness, carbon footprint, affordability, gender, animal well-being, local versus global, organic versus conventional, etc. Eco schools in 7 steps. You have absorbed all that this course has to offer on whole school approach to sustainability. It is almost time to move on and at the final assignment. Before you do that, so it might be good to take a few minutes and get to know your biggest accreditation scam on sustainability, the Eco Schools program. Eco schools have been adopted across the continent. In Denmark, for example, there are around 200 schools that have earned a green flag. The Eco Schools program gives pupils a say in the environmental management policies on their schools, thus increasing their sense of agency. How to access your peers' work. I mean, for your teachers. You might be asking how we can provide each other feedback if you come from very different contexts. For example, teaching different age groups and subjects. Of course, it is important to keep such differences in mind when providing feedback to your peer. However, this diversity or context can also be a key strength of the feedback offered. An outsider can often see opportunities and challenges that an insider no longer notices. Many pedagogical practices that work at the primary school level can also work at the secondary level, and vice versa, even if slight adaptations might be necessary. And by learning from peers teaching other subjects, we can develop a more cross curricular perspective on our own teaching. So, how to go about giving feedback to your peers? Here is some more concrete guidance on how to approach the assessment of your peer works. Follow it up with discussing how their strengths can be used to the end. For example, that is great lesson plan with the innovative ideas on how to for the activity topic. I particularly like the way, for example, these teaching methods are combined, etc. And I think that this activity of etc. You can describe an activity will be useful. I also find very interesting the way etc. Thank you for listening to me. That's all by me today. It was very, very great being here again in IGP session. Thank you again.
Wow, thank you, ma'am. That's incredible. No doubt that our viewers will profit today from the understanding they acquired through your techniques. Thank you for enlightening us with your prose of wisdom and um, topics or your narrative. And I'm sure that those techniques will be a great help for us teachers to really inculcate gender equality to our learners, to our classrooms. And I'm pretty sure that our viewers are even more motivated to create a sustainable learning environment where students can feel the security and accountability at the same time. Okay, so for this session, I'll be reading some questions or queries about the discussion, and Mom Irena will answer all your questions. Right, Mom? Okay. Unfortunately, our speaker can no longer be doing the question and answer portion because she can't stay longer this time. So let's proceed with the um, certification. Okay, so I'm going to read the certification process. Okay, so for today's certification process, after the session is over, make sure to retrieve your e-certificate from our website or via the link provided, and there enter the code. As you can see on the screen, there's the code there. So you're just going to enter the code, and you can download the certificate. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of your screen so you can remember, or you can just check in the code as you um, get or download your certificates. Okay, so I guess everyone's ready for the quiz. But before we move on to the quiz session that will follow, I want to remind everyone to support us by sharing, tagging, commenting, and mentioning your friends. So let's proceed to the quiz session once more. So you must enter the code that will appear on your screen when you log into the website displayed on your screen. And everyone is invited to take part. Okay, so I can already see names joining on our quiz. So while waiting for some other participants, I'm going to read some who are who have already joined the quiz. So we have Ma'am Enelita Q Villanueva. We have Flomi R Salviejo. Okay, Jamaline V Rivera, Leslie Ann Docalos, Lutrim Braha. We also have Ma'am Gemma G. Benalada. Keep on joining. You can mention some of your friends so that um, they will also be aware that some like such things are happening because it will really benefit them. It will really help them. Okay, Ricky R. Kolima. We also have Ma'am Leia Facunla. Okay, keep on joining. So you can enter, you can go to www.slido.com and for the code that is even. Okay, so for the first question, we have important teaching for family to prepare for disaster. Learn to turn off utilities, stack food for one day. 5 seconds left. Okay, so 66% answered stack food for one day, but the correct answer is learn to turn off utilities. Next question, please. Okay, so um, the number one here is Mom Gemaline V. Rivera, followed by Flomi Ragual Salviejo. Second question, good for 20 seconds. Sustainability requires ongoing care for the earth or justice and equity. 10 seconds left. Okay, time's up. 63% answered ongoing care for the earth. And the correct answer is ongoing care for the earth. Congratulations. Okay, we now have Ma'am Evelyn Wapiri as our number one, and then the second is Ma'am Jamaline V. Rivera. Third question, what does teaching entail within a frame of systematic sustainability education? Caring, listening. 10 seconds left. Time's up. Okay, 74% answered caring, but the correct answer is listening. Only 26% got the correct answer. Okay, we now have Jordan Joey S. Gayotina as our number one, followed by Carmela B. Jaen and Gemaline V. Rivera. Okay, next question. CDC is responsible for implementing preventative strategies or promote self-determination. 10 seconds left. Time's up. Okay, the correct answer is implementing preventive strategies. 83% got the correct answer. Who's the first one? We still have Jordan Joey S. Geotina, followed by Carmela Jaen, Jamaline Rivera, fourth, Evelyn Raupiri, fifth, Flomi Ragual Salviejo. Okay, congratulations. Next, sustainability refers to what? Continued indefinitely or unadoptable? 3 seconds left. Okay, we have 74% who got the correct answer, continued indefinitely. Let's look at our board. We have Mom Carmela B. Jaen, followed by Gemaline V. Rivera, followed by Jordan Joey Jayotina. Next question, please. Okay, number 6. Sustainability means meeting our needs but taking care of Earth and resources for the future generations. Is it true or false? Okay, 94% got the correct answer. That is true. Let us check who got it first. We have Mom Carmela B. Jaen, followed by Mom Jamaline Rivera, followed by Jordan Joey S. Jayotina, Evelyn Wapiri, and Leslie Ann Docalos. Let's go to the next question. Equal pay for equal work is an action that best supports which goal? Innovation and infrastructure or gender equality? 5 seconds left. Let's see. Okay, 65% answered gender equality. Is that the correct answer? That's the correct answer. Congratulations for the 65%. Okay, so our number one here is Evelyn Wapiri, and then followed by Jamaline V. Rivera, followed by Flomi Ragual Salviejo, Carmela Jaen, and Lutrim Braha. So names are really jumbled. Okay, for the eighth question, we have what does 5S stand for? Sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain, or sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and simple. I don't know if it's my signal that is not good or having technical. I don't know if it's on my part. Okay, so 88% answered the correct answer. Let's see the. Okay, we have Ma'am Gemaline V. Rivera, followed by Evelyn Wapiri, Flomi Ragua Salviejo, Carmela B. Jaen, and Lutrin Braha. Let's go to the ninth question. We have what does OPR stand for? Organizational and People Review or Office of Professional Responsibility? 5 seconds left. Okay, so 53% answered Office of Professional Responsibility. Is that the correct answer? No, it's not. The correct answer is Organizational and People Review. 47% got the correct answer. And we have Ma'am Evelyn Wapiri as our first. Second, Flomi Ragual Salviejo, followed by Carmela B. Jaen, and then Berna Sorja, J.A., and Modeline Ayap. Let's go to the last question. What does STEM stand for? Science, technology, engineering, math, or math, engineering, technology, science? I think the answer is obvious. Okay, 97% answered science, technology, engineering, and math, which is the correct answer. Who got it first? Let's see. Okay, we have Evelyn Wapiri. We also have here Flomir Ragual Salviejo, Carmela B. Jaen, Madonnalyn Ayap, Bernasor Ja. Okay, congratulations to our top 10 quiz competition winner. So your names will be flashed on the screen. Oh, electricity is gone there. So what should I do? Okay, so unfortunately, there is a technical problem, and I just want to congratulate again the top 10 quiz competition winner. So you can access with your certificate after this session. So again, our speaker gave a thoughtful response, and I want to thank our guest speaker and the audience for their enjoyment. After the session is over, make sure to retrieve your electronic certificate from our website or via the link provided. Before said farewell, please accept my gratitude for your patience and attention throughout the session. Dear listeners, please accept our gratitude for participation in today's session. And I know that we have gained a lot of things today. Go pick up a new skill, and it will help you advance your job or your life. So please leave a review of today's session and suggest us on our page if you learned anything from us. And I would like to ask all of my viewers to spread the word to their friends and neighbors. I'll say it again after the session is complete. Don't forget to print your e certificate from our website or from the link provided. Don't forget to check in with IGP to celebrate with us after receiving your e certificate. We can understand our service and the joy by your check-in. Until then, thank you. We hope to see you all again in the upcoming webinar. Again, I am Divina Garcia, your host. Be safe and happy. Bye.